Hello and welcome to the first of the secret Strathspey walks. We've started here at Castleroy in Nethy Bridge. You can see the castle behind me. The castle is one of the earliest examples of this kind of square Norman keep type castle, and it is the oldest one in existence in Scotland, and it's still here thankfully to the wonderful work that has been done on it recently, keeping the walls stable and rebuilding bits and pieces of them. And yes, we'd like you to come here especially to donate money towards the castle refurbishment, and also to look after a certain person who's currently behind me. Oh, there we go. That's Murdo, the resident Highland cow. So we're going to start our walk here at Castleroy. We're not going to actually go around Castleroy itself. You can do that in your own time if you like. We're going to actually start it here and go over to Aultmore Estate, and then round the back of that and get a nice view of the Cairngorm Mountains. So we're going to start our walk now towards the Aultmore Estate, and I'm going to explain a little bit about the history of that when we get there, and a little bit about the different places that we'll see on our way. So we're crossing the road over towards a place called Milton. There's a sign there for it. And this is the track that headed over the way to the old mill.
The mill here used to be known as the Mill of Ballamore, the farm next to the old kirk, possibly built in the 1840s. In 1854, the tenant, Alexander Gillen, advertised in the newspaper for an experienced miller to manage a meal and barley mill. Good testimonies will be requisite, and an unmarried man will be preferred. James Mackintosh became the miller and was married, possibly to the annoyance of the farmer, in 1861. James lived here with his wife and children until 1905, when he attended a ploughing match at Elgin, where he caught a chill which proved to be fatal. In his obituary, he is known as one of the most respected and well-known men in the parish, simply known as the miller. This, however, could not be said of the miller in 1913. A newspaper report from July of that year explains that a William Manson had been found guilty of abandoning his wife and children, who were now in the poorhouse at Forres. Manson claimed that he'd sent money and word that he'd taken on the mill in 1911. However, no such letters were found. He was sentenced to 30 days in prison, the sheriff stating that no doubt that accused had absolutely failed to support his wife and family, and the fact that he was living for 2 years within 30 miles of them made matters worse. This is the gatehouse lodge for the Aultmore Estate. Built in 1911, the lodge was the head gardener's house. During the Second World War, some evacuees from the cities were lodged here. Aultmore House, built in 1911 to 1914 by the architect Charles Quinnell in the Georgian style, for Archibald Miralles, a rich department store owner. Archie's father, also Archibald, left Aberdeen in 1822 to find fame and fortune in St. Petersburg, the then capital of Russia. In 1857 he went into partnership with his brother-in-law, Andrew Muir, starting a successful wholesale company known as Muir and Miralles, M&M for short. In 1867 Archibald retired, leaving his son Archie to help Muir run the business. In 1885 they bought a building across the street from the Bolshoi Theatre in Moscow and set up a department store. On the evening of the 24th of November 1900, a fire swept through the store, bringing out the audience of the Bolshoi to the street to watch in horror. By midnight the store had burnt down completely. Some believed the fire had been started by jealous rival store owners. Undeterred, in 1908, the new Muir and Miralles store, with 80 departments, was built, designed in the neo-Gothic style and made of reinforced concrete, a new material that was currently being used in America to build skyscrapers. It is said that all of Moscow shopped there, including the famous Russian writer and playwright Anton Chekhov, who named his dogs Muir and Miralles and still ordered his ink from the store, even when he moved 1,000 miles away to Yalta, sending his wife to Moscow with a bottle to fill. Archie retired from the business in 1910 at the age of 60. M&M was nationalised in 1918 after the Russian Revolution, and the store became the central department store, which is still in business today. Aultmore House was designed with modern comfort and convenience in mind, built with electric lights, a central heating, an electric lift, and a garage for 3 cars. Miralles, however, only spent 1 summer here before dying in April 1915. His widow struggled to sell the house during the First World War, finally selling to James Rose of Bournemouth in 1922. James gave the house to his son-in-law, John Nivenson. Nivenson had a nursery wing and more bedrooms added to the house. However, they still only used it as a summer shooting residence. In World War II, the house was used as a convalescent home for the sick and injured troops and Canadian foresters who were working nearby. In 2005, David Zimmerman bought Aultmore Estate as part of the Highland retreat for his famous brother, Bob Dylan. However, Aultmore House can still be hired for weddings and has 3 self-catering holiday cottages in the grounds. At the crossroads here, take the right-hand track. The left-hand track goes down to Castle Roy. You might want to take that on your way back.
So as we're walking along, I'm going to tell you a bit about the story of Major Charles Hargreaves. He owns Aultmore Estate, buys own Aultmore Estate in 1979 to create a finishing school for girls. Major Charles Hargreaves was born in 1917 in Christchurch, New Zealand. By the age of 15, his love of flying was quite evident. Before that age, he was able to fly a plane by himself, wing walk, loop the loop, and parachute out of a plane. So in 1937, as war loomed on the continent of Europe, he decided to try his luck at joining the RAF. So he emigrates to the UK and goes through the examination process. At that examination process, he's told that he's had very poor eyesight, which is incredible to think. He was able to do all of those stunts in a plane being short-sighted. So they've refused him. So he decides to join up with the army instead. Luckily for him, the army was very intrigued about this person that could certainly parachute, and knew how to train men to parachute. So they asked him to join a new organisation that they'd set up in North Africa, known as the SAS, and train them in parachuting. He did this for a while, and in May 1942 he's selected by the SOE, the Special Operations Executive, to be a spy in Yugoslavia. This he does, and he's transported to the Serbian areas of Yugoslavia and given the mission to join up with the Chetniks. There is, however, only one issue. He has no understanding or ability to speak Serbian. Something you think would be an essential thing to be dropped behind enemy lines. But anyway, he did the best job that he could with the Chetniks, and he's eventually caught by the Nazis fighting them. He's caught with a Chetnik badge in his cap. So they take him to Belgrade, to the Gestapo headquarters, and they interrogate him brutally. They put him in a cell for self-isolation. It was absolutely tiny and didn't have any natural daylight at all, and had a bulb burning 24/7. That, however, didn't break him, so he's eventually sentenced to death, and he's taken to Buchenwald concentration camp. However, before he really gets there, he's able to convince them, look, I am a British soldier, I shouldn't be treated like this. So they take him eventually to Colditz Castle. Many of you might have heard of Colditz Castle before. He's not involved, I don't think, in any escape attempts out of the castle, and he's there on the day of liberation. So yeah, in 1979 he buys the Aultmore Estate, has it as a finishing school for girls, and he dies in Granton in 2005. So I'm here at Rynafeorag, which is the haunt of the red squirrel, or the shieling of the haunt of the red squirrel. So we're here in the old ruins of this croft. Now the name suggests that there probably was a shieling here. There would have been used for summer grazing, little places to stay whilst the animals were high up on the hills. Here, though, they then developed a croft, and we know that there was a croft here in 1742 when a certain Barbara Grant was mentioned in the parish records as being confined to bed and therefore requiring parish help.
In the 1841 census, Charles Murray, a stonemason, lived here with his wife and 5 children, Andrew being the eldest. In 1850 we hear about Andrew through a court case. Andrew had assaulted Duncan Cameron, a gamekeeper with a gun on the hill of Scorgie. Duncan had seen Andrew, clearly out poaching, on the hill, and when he finally caught up with him, Andrew turned his gun on him, threatening to shoot him. This he did several times until he escaped. Andrew was sentenced to 60 days imprisonment. Another unfortunate event happened in 1859, when the newspapers reported that an old man, Charles Murray, Rynafeorag, fell down dead whilst walking near the kirk. A remembrance cairn was set up along the side of the road as per tradition in this part of the world. Finally, in 1860, we hear that Andrew had been up to his old tricks again, this time in court for assaulting 2 gamekeepers and for night poaching at Ballyfair Farm, where he chased and shot at the gamekeepers. History then goes silent on this bright, sunny spot.
Now retrace your steps from Rynafeorag till you come back to the junction. Take the left-hand track now up to the Cairngorm Viewpoint. So this is the Viewpoint. Again, it looks like Cairngorm's still in a cloud over there. That is an incredible view when it's not in the cloud of the Cairngorm Mountains. Well worth a kind of trip up here. And certainly over the rest of Abernethy Forest. It's probably too bright for my camera to pick up now. I'll show you this side of the forest, which is beautiful at this kind of time of day. So it shows you right the way across the forest and towards the mountains. It's an incredible viewpoint, especially in the winter. So we'll probably come up here again, and especially when the snow's on the mountains.
Thanks for watching this video. I'll post a map of the walk below. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos and like and follow Secret Strathspey Facebook page. See the link below.